Hello friends. This is Anton Korostelev from QuickTiles. You are watching the full course on the plugin. The current version is 1204, Lesson 6. Today we will study the orientation tool, as well as look at some functions in the bitmap randomization section. As you already know, QuickTiles places the source bitmaps into containers, defines their long side and rotates them according to the long side of the container. This almost always works great. But in difficult cases, for example, when the container has an asymmetrical shape or the tiles have a certain pattern, the plugin may make a mistake. And then the orientation tool will come to our aid. Let's look at its work using the example of origami paving stones. Open the material editor and add a new QuickTiles node. Maps, General, QuickTiles. A double click opens the interface and let's add a set of source tiles. We are writing origami in the search. And let's work with such an interesting paving stone. Let me remove the transparency of the container to make it better visible. At first glance, the shape is very complicated, but if you look closely, the floral pattern becomes visible. Each flower, in turn, consists of petals. Tiles of the same shape, rotated at different angles. And also the midpoints. Two tiles rotated 180 degrees relative to each other. Of course, for the correct placement of these tiles in the new texture, we will need a pattern of the appropriate shape, exactly matching the original one. But if we didn't have the opportunity to rotate the tiles, we would have to make a separate ID for each petal, and we would be severely limited in the variety of textures. Let's try to assemble the material and see what happens. Now I will delete all the containers and leave only a few, for us as an example. I think 3 is enough. Please note that the petals are in ID 1, and the middle is in ID 2. We turn on the orientation tool, the arrow. It is located on our toolbar on the right, and it is active only in the third mode. And as you can see, the arrows on the containers have already lit up. This is because I downloaded a preset. Therefore, we will delete them now, and for now we will leave the container without any additional settings. Let's reduce it all interactively to 50% and accept the result. Let's load the pattern. We also write origami in the search, and we find such a corresponding pattern. Here, of course, the base tile has already been set, as well as all directions. We won't need these directions either. For now, we switch all the ID to 21 so that we don't get in the way of extra containers. And turn on only one flower. ID 1 for the petals, ID 2 for the middle. We also activate the orientation tool in the pattern editor, and turn off all existing directions. We accept the result. For now, turn off the interactive preview. As you can see, our containers have already been placed in a flower arrangement. But so far, we're getting some kind of nonsense. The middle is placed completely incorrectly, and the petals are partially placed correctly and partially not. This happens because QuickTiles detects the long side, but this is not always successful. Let's help it and fix these mistakes. Go to the slicer and set the direction. By selecting the orientation tool, we click on the tiles, and after clicking, we have the direction of this tile. And by default, the arrow is pointing vertically upwards. If we click on the selected tile and start swinging the cursor around the arrow will also start spinning. Each turn will be made in 45-degree increments. This is convenient and useful when you are working with rectangular containers. If you need to set the direction more precisely, you can hold down Shift, and the arrow will start spinning smoothly without any binding. Also, if you hold down Alt and click near one of the sides, the arrow will snap to that side and will be positioned exactly perpendicular to that side. In addition, you can link to the vertexes. To do this, we hold down Shift Ctrl and click near any corner vertex. This is very convenient when working in a pattern editor, where containers can have any number of vertexes and a complex shape. So, let's set the right direction by pressing Alt and clicking on each tile closer to the proper side. It is best to set the direction perpendicular to the long side. Everything is already correct, and we click here. We accept the result. Not everything is perfect yet. Let's move to the pattern editor, and it is necessary to set the same direction here. Turn on the orientation tool and also click through all the tiles with Alt pressed. Please note that if I just click on the tile, the arrow will appear vertically upwards. But if I hold down Alt and click near any of the sides, the arrow will appear perpendicular to that side. This is very convenient when you have a large pattern and you need to click a lot. Great! The direction is set. And now everything should be good for us. But as you can see, it's not working yet. What could be the reason? And the reason is very simple. By default, all bitmaps that are placed in containers are automatically flipped vertically and horizontally. If your tiles have a complex asymmetric shape, go to the bitmap section on the container and disable random mirroring. As soon as I do this, all the bitmaps fall into place. Among other things, I highly recommend that when working with a complex asymmetrical shape, always switch the position of the crop to the stretch. This will help to avoid possible artifact problems in some difficult cases. So, let's go back upwards. And let's return the all containers, as well as fine-tune the pattern. The direction of our cutting has already been set. Interactive reduction by 50%. We are completely satisfied with the result. Click Done. The small flower shows that all the containers are distributed correctly. Let's fine-tune the pattern. Double-click all the tiles in ID 21 and switch them to ID 1. Now we select the tiles that are in the middle of the flowers. We assign them ID 2. And now we need to set a direction. Hold down Alt and click on the middle of the tiles. Please note that if the tile crosses the border, then the arrow may appear not in the center, but somewhere on the other side. Well, everything seems to be okay. We accept the result. And let's see the preview. In my opinion, everything is fine. You can slightly change the size of the base tile so that the paving stones fit into the containers as well as possible. That's better. Let's make the patch a little bigger. Let it be 200 by 200. Great. Turn off auto update and make the size larger. Click the update button. The texture has been generated. Create material. And you can try to render. Setting up the correct mapping. 278 to 236. Displacement. The render. I think it turned out great. Now let's move on to the next topic. In future lessons, we will return to the orientation tool and explore its other features. And now I want to show you an interesting trick. Create a new QuickTiles node. And let's add a set of tiles. We will need these simple red square tiles. Please note that when I turn on the orientation tool, the arrows do not appear. That is, the direction of these tiles is not set. Let's reduce them to 50% and accept the result. Set the size to 20 by 10 centimeters. And we'll make a small patch. Enabling auto update. And what do we see? Despite the fact that all the original tiles were identical, some of the final textures are noticeably different from others. They have a more natural look and wide seams. What happened? Do you remember the crop center algorithm, which cuts off the middle or lengthens the tile when the source and container sizes do not match? So, when a square tile is embedded in a long container, the plugin can either expand it or trim it. And what will be done determines the direction that we can set. Let's try it. Closing the big preview. And go to the slicer. Now turn off all the tiles except one. And please note that its orientation is not set. We accept the result. Let's make a smaller patch. And now it's obvious that the plugin has decided to duplicate the tile. As you can see, it is one part and here is the second. Here you can perfectly see the duplicate details. We go back to the slicer. And now let's set this tile a direction. Click once. An up arrow appears. We accept the result. It is clearly visible that the situation has changed. Now the tile is clipped. There are no duplicate parts visible on it, and our gaps have become quite wide. I am much more satisfied with this result. Let's turn on some more tiles. Click on Mark All. And all the tiles turn back on. But since we don't need all of them, we select some again and turn them off. For the rest, let's set the direction. Among other things, I want to change their color a bit and enable randomization. Turning off the transparency of containers. And let's turn on HSV. It is very lucky that there are tiles of other colors on the top and left of this texture and we can adjust our tiles to this color. Let's make the yellow ones. I think it's great. Please note that when I changed the color of the tiles, the surrounding tiles as well as the seams did not change color. This is because there is a mask channel in this texture. And in the white zones, the color changes, but in the black zones it does not change. The same rule applies to randomization. Let's take a look. We accept the result. Let's make a bigger patch. Please note that some of the tiles have not been clipped anyway, but stretched. I will explain why this happened very soon. In the meantime, let's go down to the tile channel settings section and add some randomizations. Here we can randomize the color and brightness of the tiles depending on the channel. Open the diffuse channel and let's turn on brightness randomization. First, set the value to 20. It's a pretty strong effect, but I want to show you one important detail. Now not only the tiles themselves have been randomized, but also the gaps, and as a result we get a rather visible and ugly border. In order to avoid this problem, there should be a mask channel on the texture. Then by turning on the mask checkbox, we disable randomization in the gap area, that is in the black area on the mask. And leave randomization only in the tile area, that is, in the white area on the mask. We can also include randomization not only by brightness, but also, for example, by hue or by saturation. This is the texture we got. And of course, randomizations can be enabled not only on the diffuse channel, but also on roughness and displacement. Let's go over them and take a look. Opening the roughness channel. And let's also set the randomization to 20. We're getting sharp borders again. Turn on the mask checkbox and the problem will disappear. Let me remind you once again that in order for the gaps not to be randomized, the texture must necessarily have a mask channel. Switching to displacement. All the rules are the same here. The mask can be turned on in advance, it doesn't matter. And set here to 10. Great. Now let's get back to our long tiles. So, what's the matter with it? It's actually very simple. If all these tiles were actually perfect squares, after we set their direction, they would all be clipped correctly. However, in reality, it is impossible to create perfect squares manually or even with the help of AutoSlice. If we select a tile, we will see that its aspect group is not exactly 1, but 1009. And therefore this tile is actually not a square, but a rectangle. So, if, for example, a rectangle were more pronounced, like this, and like this, and we set the same direction on it, then this rectangle would be cropped, and this one, on the contrary, would stretch. And in order for it to crop, too, we need to set the direction in the other angle. That is, roughly speaking, according to the height of this rectangle. It's a bit difficult, of course, but in order to work out such moments, QuickTiles has a special numbering tool. Let's activate it and see what happens. I'll turn on the checkbox and switch from the orientation tool, so that the arrows don't interfere with us. And now, as you can see, each container has a number. We accept the result. And the numbers appear on our preview. Here we can clearly see which tiles are being clipped and which are being stretched. 8, 7, 10, and 12. We can simply turn them off using the eraser or fix the direction. 8, 7, 10, and 12. I turned the direction 90 degrees. Let's leave the numbering for now. Great, all the tiles are sliced. By the way, the numbering, if not disabled, will also go into the render. This is also done on purpose, because this way you can view the tile not only on the bare preview, but also on the render. Let's turn off the numbering and try to render. We make the resolution bigger, click Update. Create material. Put it on the plane and set the mapping 166 to 163. Also, do not forget to set on the displacement. And let's try to render. You must agree that despite the fact that the original tile was a completely different color and a different size, with the help of QuickTiles we were able to quickly change it beyond recognition, as well as make cool randomizations. This is the end of the lesson. I want to thank you for being with us. In the next lesson, we will create decking and siding, explore procedural gaps and shape randomization. We'll see how you can tilt the tiles, as well as combine the work of the QuickTiles node with composite, color correction, and others 3D Max nodes. It was Anton from QuickTiles. Have a nice day and bye-bye.